Okay, so this is your spring 2026 course and assignment schedule. So this video is just a quick walkthrough through the schedule table here. So let's start with the with week one. So you'll see the knowledge checks there. Now the knowledge checks are to reflect the orientation content. So the syllabus, the course assignments, and you'll see how they're laid out. You've probably already seen it if you've gotten this far. You see how they're laid out in the learning modules. And so those knowledge checks are not about the course lecture content yet, but an opportunity to just make sure that you are absorbing the orientation content, including assignment instructions and other aspects of the syllabus. Okay. And so then in week two, we'll get into our first lecture topic. And so the that week we'll just have the quiz. And then in week three, you'll have new lecture content, the quiz, and then your proposal or topic proposal draft for your presentation will be due at the end of that week. Okay, and then what you'll see here is we'll have a 2 weeks to over the course of week four and week five for you to get feedback from me. So I'll be working on feedback during that week four, trying to turn that around right away to you, meaning right away, meaning, certainly within that week four, but you should be, earlier in the week or as close to that as possible. So I do try to get the feedback to you right away so that you have week five to work on any revisions to your top proposal. And so then you'll be submitting your final version of your presentation type proposal at the end of week five on March 1st. Okay. And so here you'll begin to work on your presentation at this point. So we'll have a couple weeks of just lecture content, and you'll have your quizzes at the end of each learning module. The one thing I do want to note to you here, I'll use a little annotation tool, is so here you'll see these stars. So March 13th is actually a Friday. So what I wanted to do is, what I try to do in the spring semester is make sure that we've built our schedule around that spring break so that you have the option. You can take that week off if you wish, or you can use that week to work on your slides, or you can read ahead on lecture content if you want. But I leave that up to you. So what we do is we're going to close out week seven on the Friday. So your quiz will be due at the end of the day on Friday, so that preserves that spring break for you should you want to just take a step away from working on the course and actually take the spring break off. And again, that's entirely up to you. Okay, so then the following week is spring break, and then we'll come back. And at the end of that first full week back from spring break, you'll have your draft slides. So you'll have a week you'll have a few weeks here to be working on your slides, and gives you the flexibility to budget your own time. So you can use these weeks here to work on your slides around spring break, or you have spring break if you want to use some of that time to get your draft presentation slides together and make sure you feel caught up in the course, and even work ahead if you wish. Totally up to you. Okay, so then you'll see. So again, we're going to be going through another. Let me get off my annotation tool here. So we'll be. Then you'll see as we get into April here, you'll be working on your presentation slides. So in week nine, I'll be working on after you submit your draft slides on March 20 or by March 29th. I'll be working that following week on getting detailed feedback to each of you about your draft presentations. And so then you'll have week 10 and 11 to work on finalizing your slides once you have my feedback. And so you'll be submitting your final slides on April 19th. Okay. Then we'll have a couple weeks of just quizzes. This will give you an opportunity to maybe do some practicing of your. I encourage you to do with either on your own or with some friends, classmates. Do at least a couple runs of of your presentation, talking through it. Remember, it's very important to that we stay on time because we're going to be reserving a classroom for ourselves so that we can meet together in person to do our presentations and have an in-person experience around that. So the challenge with getting together in the classroom is we have a finite amount of time. What I usually find is the classroom is booked end to end. So meaning if we have 2 hours in that classroom, that's exactly the time we have. So it's very important that when you're rehearsing, that you are part of what you're rehearsing is one to build comfort level, I hope, but also to make sure that you've got your presentation within the 5 to 7 minute time range. Okay, so that'll be important to make sure we get everybody gets equal time and we get in and out of that classroom without having to cut things short. So that's also really important. And it is good practice because you'll find if you're, when if you have speaking engagements at like professional conferences and things like that, oftentimes you have a very firm, structured amount of time when you're presenting. So at least that's been my experience. Okay, so we will get together on May 7th, I believe, to I say I believe because I don't have the save the date module in front of me. I'm looking at the schedule. So check your save the date module at the top of your course content for the date, the time, and the location. That's already in there. I just don't have it up in front of me. So make sure you look at that. And then once we have that in-person experience, you'll have one more quiz to do. At that point, you'll have all your big, your big assignment for the semester, which in this course, which is your presentation, will be done. So you'll get to kind of have an easy last week of just one more learning module and a quiz, and then you'll be done. The semester will end on May 20th. So that'll be the sort of hard deadline last date if you are making up any assignments. Um, you'll have to do it by that date to be eligible for even partial credit for that. So just make note of, you'll have we've got about 10 days after that last quiz where the semester firmly ends and I have to submit grades after that. Okay, so that is your course schedule for spring 26.